This next question is from Mr. David Scott. How would you propose to include more property owners in the financial support of the district?
I don't have a clue. I don't know who's going to volunteer to be taxed. I know there are people who enjoy living on the lake, who enjoy being part of these discussions, that choose not to be in the district because of financial reasons. So how do you encourage them to put their money in? I don't know. I guess you'd have to look and see what are the legal options to do that. But I think we've well established that it's not the people that irrigate out of the lake that are the sole beneficiaries of a clean, vibrant lake. It's all the residents. I would say it probably includes all of the whole school district area. So I think, I don't know how you'd go about doing that, but I think it would be worth looking into and coming up with some sort of a plan. We spend a lot of money out at Conley Park. Probably the biggest users of that are people that live on the base. And for the most part, most of them are not ratepayers. You know, are the ratepayers responsible to maintain a park for people who aren't even in the rate-paying district? I don't think that's necessarily fair. It's not a bad thing, but it's not necessarily fair. But I would like to find out some way to look into how do you make the area more inclusive. I think that would be important.
This next question is for all of the candidates. Start with Mr. Covey. What is your feeling about Janaea Holmquist's quest for changing our 2 vote per lot?
I was involved with this in 2012. I think it was Senate Bill 6512 was to address this issue. And having served that particular time on the board of directors, we met with the legal counsel for the districts statewide. And we are an irrigation and rehabilitation district. Therefore, we are governed by 2 sets of RCWs and LACs. But had we changed our method of voting, it would have affected all of the irrigation districts statewide. And they were adamantly against it. So it's been established, 2 votes per parcel. I'm not quite sure why it was established that way. There's been a lot of thinking, but we don't have anybody back in 1928 that can answer that question. So again, I think we have a policy that's been working for us since 1928. I guess we better continue with it so that we don't step on everybody else's toes.
Mr. Larry Tracy, what is your feeling about Janaea Holmquist's quest for changing our 2 vote per lot?
Well, I believe that the system is working as it is, and the way it's set up is the way it should maintain itself. I don't, Mr. Covey has pointed out that this would have, I was unaware that they'd have these meetings that would affect all the other districts, but there was obviously a reason in 1928 when this was all set up with that type of voting right, and it's always worked, and I think that's the way it should stay.
Mrs. Mary Perry, what is your feeling about Janaea Holmquist's quest for changing our 2 vote per lot?
I think there's been a lot of research done on this 2 votes per parcel. We are voting property rights here. It's not like we are like the general election. This has been challenged numerous times in other areas. It's written into statute. In 1984, there was a court case from another district, not ours, and I couldn't even tell you which district that was. There was a complaint that they were only getting 1 vote per parcel. It was challenged. It was ruled that no, that was not correct. They needed to have 2 votes per parcel. The following year, in 1985, there was legislation introduced by our Senator Tub Hansen, establishing that the vote would be 2 votes per parcel, as this lawsuit had established. and it was reinforcing what had happened. That bill passed unanimously. It's possible that somebody else is going to go back and challenge it again, and, you know, that's our right to challenge these things. But it has been established over and over again. Thank you.
Mr. Jeff Foster, what is your feeling about Janae Holmquist's quest for changing our 2 vote per lot?
I'm going to answer that first with the question, and I'm curious as to why Senator Holmquist has this quest to change what's been established for 80-plus years. It seems that Mrs. Perry and I have been doing some of the same research, and I found the same thing that she did, that State Senate Bill 1985, number 3594, found that the idea of the one person, one vote when it comes to an irrigation district was deemed unconstitutional. I'm not real clear on why the effort from Ms. Holmquist. One person, one vote works in a general election where it's not necessarily based on your property ownership, it's who you want representing you. I'm glad to see Past Senator Hochstetter in the audience, because I listened to him a week ago today actually, on One Nation Under God radio show, where he was emphatic. He was passionate, like I said, passionate. He was passionate about local control. I want to ask you, is Janae Holmquist listening to local control when she's putting forth this legislation? Was it proposed by folks here? I never heard an outcry. I heard a vocal minority that says we need to make a change. I never really did hear why. The comparison of one man, one vote voting for president versus those ratepayers that are footing the bill for the operation of this irrigation underline and rehabilitation district, I think that they deserve a little bit more say. I hope that answers the question.
Mr. Bill Bailey, what is your feeling about Janae Holmquist's quest for changing our 2 vote per lot?
Well, I'll answer the question perhaps a little bit differently. I have for a couple of years now tried to figure out what would be a better way. And realistically, whether it's 1 vote or 2 votes, doesn't matter. The breakout's the same. We can change it a whole bunch of ways. You can look at property size, you can look at property value, and all it does is complicate the system. And in my mind, the system was established, it works, it's the same system used by other districts. I vote in the East Columbia Basin Irrigation District. That's the way it's done there. It's done by mail. I just don't see a need to change it. The system is working, it has worked, and there is no fair way that I can think of to make it any different than it is now. Any system anything we change it to will be as fair or unfair as this system is now.
Mr. David Skog, what is your feeling about Janae Holmquist's quest for changing our 2 vote per lot?
No, I'm going to be outside everybody else's box, I think. When it's an irrigation district, I think it makes a whole lot of sense. If you've got 1,000 acres and you need water 1,000 acres, and you have 1 acre and we need a new pump, and the 1 acre guy doesn't care and the 1,000 acre guy does, and he says, I've got 1,000 votes and you have 1, we get the pump, he gets the water. Done deal. That makes a whole lot of sense. I don't see us supplying irrigation water to a bunch of people. We are a rehabilitation district. And someday we're going to need to address that we're going to have to come to grips with. We aren't an irrigation group that says we provide irrigation water. You know, maybe we will, but at this point, it seems like there's the classic example of the dentist office at $1 million on 1 parcel gets 2 votes, and the 2 vacant lots where $6,000 gets 4 votes. And so this guy's going to spend $1,000 on taxes and get no water, and this guy's going to spend $2 or $6 on taxes and have 4 times the votes, or twice the votes. So I don't know, it doesn't seem like it makes sense to me or is really fair. What you change it to, I probably agree with Bill that it's a can of worms to do something different. But I would at least vote my opinion that I don't think it's fair. And as long as we're not providing most all the other irrigation districts are irrigation and maybe rehabilitation. But we've clearly established that what we do is about the quality of Moses Lake. I think that needs to be fairly assessed and paid for by everybody who benefits from the quality of the lake, not how much water they pump on their lawn or don't pump on their lawn.